What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from IGM3, where we discuss software engineering by example. Welcome to episode 2 of JavaScript by example level 2. We're building this little puppy. We're building Space Invaders. And in the previous episode, we learned about canvas. We learned about how we can draw something on this canvas. And this is what we end up with. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this rectangle is ugly, right? There is something wrong with this rectangle. It's blurry. And the reason was what we have done to stretch this canvas to a full screen. What we have done is we used CSS. And that is currently not a good idea to stretch the canvas using CSS. And the reason what will happen is originally, if you don't have this, right? Let's remove these 100% of this and the height. What will happen is this is your canvas. And what you told it, right? What you essentially told it when you said 100%, he said, hey, take this and literally just drag and just make it stretch the full screen. Thus the blurry behavior, right? So if you zoom in like from the Mac, you're gonna get the same thing. Essentially, same thing with Photoshop. If you take a picture and you stretch it, you're gonna get an ugly, blurry behavior. How do we fix this? How do we do this the right way so we get high definition, coolish stuff, right? Back to the basics, background black. And what we're gonna do is essentially use JavaScript, basic, good old JavaScript to do that. We have the canvas, and just right at the time we got the canvas, I'm gonna set the width of the canvas to be something, the full screen. So what is that? Okay, and then I'm gonna set the height to be the full screen. So what is that again? And this thing is called the window. The whole thing is called the window object, and it's right there, right? And guess what? Right, there is a property. It's not called width, unfortunately. There is called inner width. And the inner width and outer width is the difference between this without the border, essentially. Okay, so if you do inner width, you get the width, and if you do inner height, you get the height of the window. And so I'm gonna do it with JavaScript, essentially. Once I load the page, stretch that thing, make a full screen, and do that. When I do that, there you go. But now the numbers we have used essentially are very small, right? For my spaceship. So we need to start making like bigger stuff, right? So let's do a constant variable here, width of the spaceship. I don't know. Let's make it 200 instead. And the height of the spaceship, let's call it spaceship spaceship width, spaceship height. Okay, and the height is also almost like smaller, so height and width. So still this is true, right? And still the canvas width over 2 minus the width divided by 2. Remember that was the 10. Okay, and canvas dot height essentially minus 20, which is the s height, the space height, right? And then this is obviously the width of the spaceship, and this is the height of the spaceship. So let's see how it looks like now. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, that's like a fat little spaceship. So let's make it kind of sleeker. 50 height, how about that? But you know, it's much clearer right now, guys. So obviously it's drawn up to the bit to the maximum height. I want it just push a little up. So in order to do that, what we're gonna do is like we can do like the height times 1.5. So just like push it a little bit up. Okay, that's one way. Again, times 2 will be pushed a little further. Okay, and so on. Okay, so that's much better. I think compared to this, still a little smaller, right? We need to make this smaller, but if you think about it like stretched all the way, it's actually not bad at all. Okay, so that's what we want to do essentially, right? So we did that part. All right, guys, so this is what I want to do next. I want to augment my spaceship to slightly look like this. Not exactly, but something like that, okay? And to start to do that, I want to draw kind of another rectangle right there above my existing rectangle, because today I have a rectangle, right? I want to draw another rectangle on top of that, okay? In order to do that, I want to draw that rectangle with a different color, okay? Just so we can tell where we're drawing, okay? So I'm gonna draw, start picking red to draw, and then before we jump into drawing, this is very long, right? And then we're specifying all that stuff, and it's kind of getting confusing. So what I want to do is I want to declare a variable called ship X location, right? And it's literally this thing, right? And const spaceship Y location is literally this guy. Sounds good? It's just declaring variables, right? So we can point them easily instead. So that's much like it, right? It's more readable, okay? So I want to draw the rectangle starting from SX, this location, and then this location, right? X and Y. Sweet. So if now if I refresh, shouldn't be any changes, but it's now I can play with it a little better, okay? Now what I want to draw, I want to draw another rectangle on top of this rectangle, okay? So it will start in the same location if you think about it, but it is a little bit above, okay? So I'm gonna take the Y and then take a few pixels of the Y. So we're start drawing from here. And then whatever pixels I'm gonna take is the new height of this thing. I'm gonna make it a little thinner here, okay? Let's say, I don't know, let's declare, let's say, yeah, let's copy this and paste it. So obviously we're gonna draw it again, but the X location is the same. The Y, I'm gonna say -10, okay? And the width is the same as the width of the current spaceship, all the way there, but the height is also 10, okay? And since we're starting hard coding values, I'm gonna create a value called offset here, then call it 10, okay? And I'll start using it because I'm gonna use 10 a lot, okay? So this number, okay? Let's see what will happen, right? So that's what we have done, right? We started there, we decreased Y with a 10, which is the offset, and then we said, okay, draw as much as the width, okay, the same width of this rectangle. However, what we notice here is like there's like a little bump here. So I'm gonna start offsetting the X by 10, which is the same offset value. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I'm gonna start drawing plus X. Okay, so start looking from the same location, but plus offset, which is 10, which is the value we picked. Now the reason I picked it as a variable so I can change it. Okay, so what will happen if I do that? Nice, okay. So we started from here, but now the width is almost the same, right? The width is almost the same, but now we're like kind of poking out. So what we want to do is decrease the width by the same thing of the offset. So minus offset, what we will get? Width minus offset. Well, let's see what we'll get. Okay, that's better. I need to also decrease it another offset. So it looks symmetrical almost. Minus offset, minus offset. Oh, what did we do? Oh, that's wrong. Wrong offset. No, minus offset. Okay, let's try this. That's more like it. That's more like it. I like it a lot. Okay? Instead of saying minus offset, we can just say -2 offsets. Right? Just math, guys. From now on, it's just all math. Now this is really interesting, guys. We have a nice formula here. Okay? What will happen if I change 10 to 30? Okay? Let's change 10 to 30. And then we're getting a little bit different result. Let's change it to 50. Okay, and then you can start controlling it, right? Have you noticed that? So we can change it to 100. I have no idea what will happen. And then, oh, it disappeared. Because we'll explain why now in a minute. But we play with this offset, and look at this. Look at this. It's pretty cool, right? So let's stick with 10 now. And if now I did that, it's actually very interesting, guys. Look at that. It is so cool because now we have just drawn this. What happened if I change the value of offset, right? And then essentially start just multiplying this offset every time, okay? So we can play things like that. Like it's like I can for example now do a loop, right? I say, hey, for let I equal 0 while I is less than, I don't know, 5, I plus plus. I can do, hey, I times offset. And the first I element is 0. So whatever value we're going to get is actually the same thing, okay? Then we're going to get 1, which gives us the same result as we have here, okay, times I. I'm going to multiply all the offsets by I here. Let's see what will happen. I'm just playing here, guys. Right? What will happen here is essentially we'll start with offset, and then we'll start with offset times 1, we'll start with offset times 2, okay, and we'll end up with offset times 5, okay. Look at that. So you notice what's going on, right? So we're just decreasing and start building up. So if I start up to, I don't know, 10, up to 10 we get this value, but after a while the width will eventually become negative, and you don't want that. We don't want the width to become always 0. So I want this to go on as long as I is less than 10, or let's remove that and say as long as its width time minus 2 time offset times I, as long as this is greater than 0, you're good. Once it's 0 or less, then stop the loop. Let's see what will happen here. Okay, that's what we got. Essentially 10 loops is what we got here. Now let's play with this. I'm gonna make the offset a little smaller, and you'll end up with a house, for example. That's awful. Okay, so now if I change this to 10, for example, right, we will get this. If I change this to, I don't know, let's make it 30. That's more like it. That's not bad. It's not exactly like that, but I like it. I don't know. Change it to 40. I like this. I like this a lot, guys. I'm sticking with this. And now the beauty of this is just we play with these numbers, and then you can change your spaceship the way you like. You look at that. Like this is one spaceship, right, based on the width. Right, I changed it to 100. If you change it to 200, you get another spaceship, right? And it will build up based on your essentially your this is a very big spaceship, but I don't think we're gonna have space for this, so I'm gonna make it maybe 150 or something like that. Okay, and then maybe the height a little bit 30, and then that's better. The offset, I don't know, 30. Then we can play with that until we're satisfied with the spaceship, our spaceship essentially. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop here. So we played with this a little bit, and now we can change this to green, right? Right. So now we have something like this. Not exactly like that, but you can start practicing, guys, and get exact replica of the actual spaceship, right? But I don't want to do that. I just like want to kind of spice things up. All right, guys, we'll stick with that, guys. We'll stick with this, and we can remove this all together, and then gonna push this code. I'm gonna put the code in the description below so you can see you in the next episode. We'll start encapsulating all this code into classes. We'll learn about classes in the next episode. You guys stay awesome. See you there. Bye.